This episode is brought to you by our patron supporters. Today's patron of the day is...
Lycanthropic.
Patrons get the show always ad-free and access to the extended episode with bonus content. If you don't want to miss all of that good stuff, go to patreon.com/calltheline. That is patreon.com/calltheline.
I don't know if you patrons have figured this out yet, but I've been picking the patron of the day from the people who leave comments on the previous episode. So that's if you want to get... I used to do it as a random person, but I'm like, why am I doing it for people who are never going to find out? Like, what percentage of the people even are listening to it?
Yeah.
Also, we have a high percentage of ladies on our Patreon because of you, I think, because of y'all. So, yeah. Anyway, we should do the show.
Yeah.
Welcome, everybody. This is The Line Has a Podcast. I'm Jimmy Snow.
I'm Alyssa Loop.
And it is Friday, March 28th, 2025, and I'm sorry, I'm back. But today we're mostly going to be talking about the Signal text messaging scandal rocking the nation, and finally something that even people on the right are going like, guys,
what's
you're
about?
Very obviously lying.
Yeah.
Like, you're being pretty dumb here. Like, there's not a lot of people outside of the administration not going, this is fully wrong. But also, anyway, we'll be talking more about that. Also, some new developments on our us heading toward annexing Greenland, and Donald Trump just being an incompetent sack of shit in a way that never, ever, ever would a Democrat would have been able to get away with. And we have another example besides the text messaging issue, which is giving such, what about her emails vibes?
Yeah.
Way worse than anything that was suggested could be wrong with the emails. But also another situation that very similar, very Benghazi-esque, that Donald Trump just, I have not heard about it, didn't know, because he doesn't give a shit about you.
No.
Anyway,
Certainly
but before we get started, Alyssa, how are you? What's it like in New York City? How are you doing?
Oh, I wouldn't know because I'm in Syracuse, apparently.
Yeah. How is Syracuse this time of year?
It's great. It's a little chilly. It's spring is coming around. That was that's so funny. I always think one of my favorite things about doing things with you guys and being part of the Line whole group is it feels like a separate cinematic universe. And so even when we do chewed gum, I really say all the things because I just assume it's never going to get back to my other cinematic universes. Anyway, I'm great. I'm enjoying the nice sunny weather, even though it's still kind of cold. And
there's going to be a lot of people who are just confused by whatever you were just saying. And that's the point. Stay confused. I'm disappointed you said as much as you said. It's way funnier without saying anything.
Oh my God.
You ruin it. Ruin the joke.
We all are going to have that song stuck in our head.
Boom, 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 boom.
How are you doing?
Do it. I'm okay.
Oh my God.
I'm all right. I'm, living the dream.
It's.
I can't do more than that though. Copyright.
Also, it's sad.
The song?
The situation.
It's a sad song. That's the only thing that's sad. Everything's great. We're great. Hey, I would like to illustrate a theory I have. And listen, audience, if you're listening, I love you, and clearly this isn't about you.
Oh no.
It's about everybody else. But and yet the challenge is going out to you. I have a theory that when it comes to shows and what's good content and what's good stuff, there's a lot of people who are very critical. And they will say things like, I just went through Logo Gate. We have a new logo at the Line, and the people who hate it. And I don't care, but because I like it, and I like how it looks cool on coins I've been making.
Yeah,
coins.
I love that you're just making coins.
Yeah, I just make coins now. I feel like I keep having new hobbies, and people are like, "Oh, I didn't know Jimmy was 70."
Literally, you collect the hobbies of a retired person.
Yeah. My hobby is collecting hobbies. That's my collection.
Exactly.
My collection is a collection.
Yeah.
Anyway, I love that we have audiences, and I love that we make stuff that resonates with the audience. But I think an audience comes to us because they are getting something more out of us that they're not just going to generate themselves. And I've said this a lot, many times in the past. and I think I've said it on the show, like audiences' instincts suck at what makes a good show or good content or stuff. If you ask them, they might remember, I like shows like this and stuff. And so if they're just repeating that stuff, but if you ever try to ask them for like feedback on new things, what new stuff you should do. For example, when I was doing my news show, which I hope I get to do again one day. I really, really miss it. But anyway, when I was doing the Sum Type show back in the day, we would ask like, what segments would you guys like? And we would get the response, what if you did a segment where instead of all the news you focused on just the good news? And I was like, because everybody has tried this and nobody watches it because it's actually a terrible idea.
I also just think for people who watch this channel, like you actively watch people debate, like put themselves in a position to debate people who are calling in. Like, I don't come to the line for like a peaceful moment on the internet. I come to the line when I'm angry and I need someone to validate how angry I am about something. Like, and that just could be personal. But I don't think that like our function is just like being like light and fluffy. Maybe I'm wrong. But also it's interesting because when you started this thought, my first thought was, well, the audience that's watching is the reason why we exist. So like, how could their instincts not be good? But I think that like,
I think their instincts for consumption are great. Their instincts for, I think the reason why I have a job, because I suck at the rest of the job, but clearly I keep creating new shows and programs that people like and consume. For a podcast that's getting, what are we averaging? 3,000 to 4,000 views right from the onset. Like,
that's crazy.
Now, obviously compared to other things we do, it's kind of like, that's, it could be better, but
that's crazy for like the general to create a podcast. Like when I was doing, sorry, I just moved this a little. When I was doing my own podcast, and I think like on our best day, I was getting those numbers at the height of it, and I was pushing it all the time.
But also imagine just like whenever a lay person wants to like crap on you for numbers like that, I'm always like, okay, cool. Go speak in front of 3,000 people and tell me how you feel. Like, imagine just putting all of the people who actually watched in a room and you're speaking for them. Because that's realistically, granted, live speaking for a lot of people are different. I'm not nervous to speak in front of a live audience as far as like nervous to literally speak in front of a live audience. All my nerves surround like my health stuff and like, what if I get really sick on stage and I have to run off and go poop? Like stuff like that. That's where all my nerves end up. But yeah, it's kind of, anyway, the whole reason I'm bringing this up is I was informed by an email that that we're no good at coming up with questions of the day.
Oh.
Yeah. So, audience, it was suggested maybe we listen to the audience more.
Okay.
The question of the day. What do you think the question of the day should be? And so now is the challenge out because I've preempted this and said y'all suck at coming up with things like this.
Yeah.
And now I'm fully expecting people to really try and break that model, break the mold. And I'd like to see if somebody comes up with something good. I feel like my background right now looks whack. Is this whack? I think I need to pull this.
I don't remember what the question of the day was last week.
Okay, I will say the question of the day last week wasn't very good.
I don't remember what it was.
It was literally just, is Bernie and AOC creating a new movement? And it's that's not really a question of the day because it's not really an opinion-based question. That's just kind of asking like, and then you guys went on to like share stories about, I'm not trying to critique y'all like in front of the audience. I don't want anyone to feel shamed here. But as far as the question of the day goes, you wouldn't make the question of the day just a simple yes or no, that also we answer the question in the episode. You guys talk about it and you basically go, hey, are they having a new movement? Our first story, the new movement by AOC and Bert. Well, it's kind of like,
I think the intention of the question was to be like, do you think that this is going to be an effective, like actual movement beyond like, they're going to do these little rallies and they're going to try but is this going to be a movement that actually creates a change that is tangible? Like, I don't know.
I think AOC intends to be a part of the 2028 presidential run. I don't think she thinks she's going to get the nomination. I think that maybe she is I'm hoping, and I actually said after the election that this is why she should do it. If people want to go back, they can look and they find a thread. I think she needs to be in it and be saying Medicare for all every day as loud as possible and basically pull whoever does get the nomination. They have to create such a loud movement that now whoever gets the nomination does have to try and get her voter base.
Yeah.
And so I wouldn't be surprised if she ends up on the ticket. She's not going to be president.
No.
She's not going to be on the head of the ticket in 2028.
No.
And maybe ever. And to tell you all the truth, like the thing that you're going to have to just accept, and I'm not going to say get over, because you can still be mad about it, but don't abstain from voting about it. We're going to run a white guy in 2028. Like that's what's going to happen, because enough people will think the problem was solely woman of color that we aren't going to take a risk like that again. With the stakes right now, it's not just that the stakes are high, it's that the stakes are, they are high, but they're higher because it's on the tail of a disastrous Trump presidency, which has already proved to be insane and disastrous. So we have to win the next one. We can't take any risks because we have to do our best to undo, besides whatever our own platform is going to be, to undo his shit. And having a Republican in after Trump would solidify a lot of that smelly dog shit. Which is what I imagine Trump just smells like all the time. He gives that vibe that he smells like shit.
He certainly does.
Yeah, right. Yeah, he really does. He really looks like he smells like shit.
He looks like he would just smell like a person who is sweaty all the time.
Yeah. Which I mean,
vibe.
he appears to be sweaty all the time. So that's gotta be where that's coming from. Anyway, I think we will run. The thing that interests me the most and intrigues me the most is whether or not Tim Walz has a shot at it, because I'd like Tim. I think that's probably the best a leftist like me can hope will actually get the nomination, because being upset that the Democratic Party is not putting up actual leftists is still crazy, because it's like, yes, obviously that's what we want. I'm still fucking with the background. Like, it's bugging me. Obviously that's what we want. We want an actual leftist up, but keep in mind, why would the Democratic Party put up a member that somebody who isn't a member of their party? They aren't leftists. So Tim Walz kind of bridges that, because he is still accepted as a Democrat, despite the fact having some leftist tendencies. And we'll see what happens. But anyway, audience, I love you. Your instincts for what makes good new content sucks, but you're very good at judging content that already exists. Sometimes, actually, not always, but often enough. But the challenge is down. We've laid down the gauntlet. What do you think the question of the day today should be? I don't know how long we've already been going.
Oh, right.
Have we been going
Where's
long
our
enough?
timer?
Yeah, it's disappeared on my end. Do we have to have the bigger screen?
That is. It's on the top now, next to the uploading.
Oh, okay.
Why did they move it there?
I don't like it. And if you aren't in the full, like in the
if you're not, like, I was going to say spread out enough.
Yeah. If you don't spread it out enough.
Yeah.
That gesture is wild. Spread it out. What are you spreading?
A litany of things, really.
Peanut butter on a giant piece of bread.
Yeah.
I don't know why I needed to sound Swedish.
I was going to say, I felt like you were trying to do a Yuka there.
I miss Promise so much that I'm just going to be doing, if I do impressions of Yuka, will she
just appear?
Wow, you're so hot. It's mine and Alyssa's favorite.
My favorite
video from the two of them. They're adorable.
I want to I need to find that video again.
I think before we get in, the Signal, talking about the text messaging scandal is going to take enough time that we're not going to do it before the commercial break, but we need to take, it's too early. We need like a few more minutes. So I do have some other news items that I was going to talk about at the end of the show, but did you see Donald Trump talking about why Barron Trump may go into tech instead of politics because of how impressive he is with tech? And then he describes his son being impressive with technology, and essentially he goes, I went in there and I turned off his computer, his laptop. I said, okay, good. I come back 5 minutes later. He's got it back on. I said, how did you do that? He goes, Dad, it's none of your business. He's really great with computer. Barron is going to be a giant tech success one day because he was able to turn a laptop back on in under 5 minutes. Now listen.
That's insane.
When I was 6 years old, I remember that my grandparents had a laptop. And this is in 1996.
Yeah.
So it's like Windows 95 laptop, this big bulky thing. And you opened it, you turned it on, you went and had a meal, and you came back. Because that's how long it would take to basically turn on and be ready for you. I imagine that that's the last time Donald Trump operated a computer himself.
Right.
Because the only way this makes sense as impressive is, and I don't know how to turn a computer, so I decide I'm going to turn it off, and I smash it, and I smash it, and I smash it to little pieces, and I come back in 5 minutes, and he has reassembled the computer. Then it would be very impressive. But turning the computer back on, Dad, it's none of your business, Dad, is apparently what he said. He hit the power button. He just went boop, and that's how he turned it back on. I do not understand how people can be comfortable. Look, I get that not everybody has technological prowess, but Donald Trump is so technologically deficient. How can you trust him to understand anything about your daily needs as a president?
Well, this is also probably why he thinks that Elon Musk is a genius.
Yeah, it's all computer. That's literally what he yelled from the inside of the Tesla. Wow, I've never seen a panel like this. It's all computer. And then he gets out and he goes, I would go for a drive, but unfortunately I am not allowed. I'm not allowed to drive anymore. And he's implying that it's because he's president. But you and I must know that it has nothing to do with it being president. It has to do with the fact that he is too old to drive. He has failed his driver's test most recently because, notably, just like 2 years ago, a similar event happened at the White House and Joe Biden drove off in a Jeep.
Right.
Listen, before I saw these events, if I didn't know about Joe Biden in the Jeep and someone was like, listen, okay, you don't trust Trump with the country. You don't really trust Biden, but you trust him more. But who would you trust to drive you home? I probably, before knowing this, would have assumed that Donald Trump drove and was a better driver. He is not allowed. I'm not allowed to drive, even though it has nothing to do with being president. We should be asking our question why he's not allowed to drive. So now, as the music plays for the break, I would like you, Alyssa, to give your best story about what the last drive by Donald Trump looked like. You're gonna, and why he's no longer allowed, why his license was revoked.
Okay.
Once upon a time.
I think once upon a time, Mr. Trump got into his little shitty car. I have a feeling that he just passed the same driveway that he was supposed to turn into 100 times, and whoever was in the passenger seat was like, hey, no, you missed it. He's like, oh, it's okay, I'll go around. And then again, just missed it again, and they were like, wait, no, you missed it again, slow down. And he's like, don't tell me what to do. I know exactly where it is. I know where it is. And just kept doing that over and over again. And then they were like, you can't drive anymore.
It ended with him crashing in the mailbox, yelling, Siri, play my road tunes.
This episode is brought to you by the amazing people on patreon.com/calltheline, where you can get the show ad-free and you get the extended episodes where we do bonus shows, which is most of the time. Head over to patreon.com/calltheline and sign up today. Would you like to be one of the cool people who can
We're back!
Oh
my
Did you
God.
miss us?
We're so back right now.
We're so back right now.
I don't know how long I'm going to do that bit. I feel like I want to keep going and just make silly noises because it's not that exciting to talk about the absolutely insanely incompetent thing that is the Trump administration.
Yeah.
And I'd rather just do the voice. Oh, hey there, Alyssa. What's it like in New York City?
I will never escape this moment, I fear.
I'm in Austin, Texas, and the country is so shitty. Yes, it do.
It is.
Oh, the yes, it do. You don't remember? That was slang from our high school years. What
Yes,
it do?
Oh my God.
You remember
I
what it
still
do?
use, yeah, I still like it do be like that sometimes. You know, sometimes that still hits.
It do be like that.
It do be like that
That
sometimes.
might not be as far back though. I do remember, I think during the pandemic, Philip DeFranco did like a fake news segment where he just talked about it do be like that some. In other
Okay.
news, it do be like that sometimes. Sometimes when
wow.
it do, it be. That kind of thing. Yeah, yeah.
I haven't watched Phil DeFranco in so long.
I watched Philip DeFranco back when he was SXE Phil.
Yeah, me too.
Do you know those days? Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. SXE Phil. And I liked me some early Philly D.
Me too. Oh, Philly D. I hope he's doing great.
Yeah, I mean, there was a recent scandal over his wife sort of saying Gavin Newsom is being smart in like kowtowing to these conservatives that he's having on his podcast and shitting on trans people. Though she didn't say those specific things, but was like, it's actually, he's trying to become governor and it's a strategy to do so. And so it's okay that he's throwing trans people under the bus to do that in the end, or become president, not governor. Anyway, it was a whole thing.
That's not great.
It's one of those things where I think she thought she was cooking. She kind of like thought out loud on Threads and then got eaten up for it. And it's kind of like, you gotta wait on some of these things.
Yeah.
You gotta wait on. She's probably fine. She's probably not a giant
fine.
garbage person, but
I'm sure she's fine.
the way the comments look too, like where you like, there was like one person in the comments who was like, should I ask Phil if he stands by you and unsubscribe? Like, shut the fuck up. You guys do not live in. Do you know what needs to make a hard comeback? It was around for a little while. And the funny thing was, is people, so the people who are perpetually offended by everything, it was sort of created for them. And I feel like because they decided to figure out a way to be offended by it, it also went away fast. But that's the point. The phrase "go touch grass" is so good.
It is so good.
Encapsulates actually what a lot of it's so funny when if you ever find yourself caught up in a scandal or just like a lot of eyes on you being shitty and just covered in, and then you just go to the store and you're like, oh right, none of this is happening in the real world.
Literally, you're so right. I have a friend who is also kind of going through like a whole internet drama thing, and it's a similar thing where she's also sick right now. So the whole internet, not the whole internet, a little tiny corner of the internet has some shit to say. And she can't like do anything to get her out of that. Like,
I mean, you literally
space.
can't do it. You the right out of the headspace?
Yeah, because she's just stuck at home sick.
Oh, got it. Yeah.
And so
you have to go out and remind yourself.
Yeah, like go
this isn't
outside,
real
be
life.
with friends. Yeah, it's
even
fine.
play with your dog. But
Play
like
with your dog.
once you see other people out in the world and you realize like, because right now, like if you're at the height of it, you'll like go and just like respond to somebody's tweet and somebody's looking up. This is back. I mean, I haven't had Twitter in a while, but somebody's like checking every platform of yours to see if you're doing anything. And so you respond to a tweet and then they're like, well, I'm going to bring up this thing that you, like just you're all the way in their algorithm. And they're like, we're not going to let you hide anywhere. And then you go out and about and you're like, no one even knows who I am in the real world.
Right.
Or when they do, because I used to get recognized a lot more, but I get recognized periodically. And it's always people being nice. Like I have not once had a negative like a person come up to me. I mean, maybe somebody has seen me in real life and they're like, there's that Jimmy Snow. He's so mean online.
Well, what has been an experience that I see people have around my friends is they'll be like, oh my God, I'm such a fan. And they'll take a picture and then they'll post it somewhere and be like, I fucking hate this bitch. She was so rude to me, blah, 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 blah. I'm like, I was there and no, she wasn't. And that's crazy. This happened like when I was in London with Tara and this girl came up to us, took a picture. I think she took a little bit of a TikTok too with Tara. And then later said that we saw her at a bar and that Tara was just staring at her boyfriend. And I was like, I was with her the whole time. I did not see you there. I did not see your boyfriend there. I promise you. That whole night we were occupied with something completely different. Also, why would someone who has literally 10 million followers be scoping out your random ass boyfriend in England?
Yeah.
Get over it.
That is such like a chronically online type, like even though that was a person who actually was out and about, you can just tell what they do with most of their life most of the time.
Right. That was a very go touch grass
creating
moment,
these
I think.
worlds in their head that are insane.
Yeah.
Oh, internet, it's what you do to me. Let's go on to our first story, or I guess second now. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth shared sensitive military plans in a Signal group chat and accidentally included the editor of The Atlantic, Jeffrey Goldberg, sparking a national security concern and widespread criticism of the administration's response. Now, listen, that's the headline, but it has gotten bogus and wild. So let's talk a little bit about timeline. Starting on March 11th, Jeffrey Goldberg, the editor from The Atlantic, he gets a Signal connection from National Security Advisor Mike Waltz, and he accepts it thinking that this is a routine thing, which is funny because Mike Waltz has also been out before, like everything was who did this, why did this, who this, had already been denying that he talks to Mike Waltz, that he's a person who like speaks to journalists. And now it's obvious, since he created it and added him, that this was his contact. And for Jeffrey Goldberg, he was like, yeah, it didn't seem weird to be getting contacted from political people. We have political sources. So I think that we're also ignoring that people are not realizing Mike Waltz is clearly a leak. Like is at other times than this.
Yeah.
Definitely like leaks to journalists. And yet they seem to not, nobody seems to be addressing that. But anyway, then on March 13th, Goldberg's added to a Signal group chat labeled Houthi PC Small Group involving high-ranking officials like Pete Hegseth and even JD Vance, which I really love. You see all these
photos. Do you think that JD Vance was really excited that he was in his first group chat?
No, I disagree with you completely.
Really?
I bet you JD Vance is in a lot of group chats, just not group chats. I bet you
with
JD
minors?
Vance starts a lot of, I've never heard that rumor about him. He's not Matt Gaetz. I think he likes adults.
Okay.
I try not to be, look, he is a Republican, so the odds go way up, and then a Christian on top, odds way up, but
skyrocketing.
Married to a woman of color, which considering the fact that he like, so many Republicans were like, oh, it's just your attraction. They're racist in their attractions too.
Right.
The fact that he like clearly has a sort of fully formed idea of who he's attracted to, and it doesn't include the same exclusionary list that his identity would usually dictate, I would say he probably likes adults. But other people on this chat, who knows? Conservative, religious conservative. It's funny how I feel like there's going to be somebody listening who's going to be like, I'm offended that Jimmy would say that he isn't a pedophile, that he couldn't be. I'm not saying he couldn't be. I
definitely could be. I feel like
anybody can be.
Most of these people in this group chat, this is their first big girl group chat. They're excited. The friends are in the chat.
I think he creates a lot of group chats.
They're getting a lot of notifications, and they just like got a little ahead of themselves. They're able to like react and like have this really fun social experience that they've never had before because they're fucking nerds.
With weird emoji combos. What was
my God.
Fist American flag fire?
That was insane.
Decode this for me. What the fuck does it mean?
Oh my God. That was like truly.
We're fisting America until it burns.
That's exactly what it means.
That's the best I got.
Yeah.
I think to answer your question though, as far as his first group chat, I think you've been in group chats you want to be in. How many group chats have you left? I've left tons. People put you in group chats and then the notifications
are insane.
So annoying. Right.
My sister is getting married, and the Bachelorette group chat is responsible for hundreds of notifications. Hundreds.
Careful what you say. This is public. They're gonna hear it.
But they know it's, and I'm grateful for them.
Yeah.
And also, they're not gonna watch this. Hundreds.
I'm tagging you
in a day.
Insta.
It's I'm grateful
That's too much,
for them,
people.
and it's also a lot.
Like, is it only wedding plan stuff, or is it like, oh, since we're here, I'll talk about my blah, blah, blah?
No. It's like the font of the itinerary that we're going to print for the people that are literally... At least it's on
topic a little.
It's very on topic, but it's very in-depth in a way that, like, I was unfamiliar. Like, I did not know that this is the level of depth that we were going to go into to print, like, for instance, an itinerary of what we're going to do the Bachelorette weekend which is confusing to me because the people on the Bachelorette weekend are the people planning the printing of the itinerary. So I'm like, so if we're all aware of the itinerary, why do we need to print it?
Let me tell you this. We've had Discord. We have Discord groups for people who screen calls. We have Discord groups for the host. I'm not kidding. People who work at the line, people who volunteer at the line. I have had multiple situations in the past where I have had to basically say, hey, you can't use our group chats to just talk.
Yeah.
It's not for that. It's not. If you want to create your own thing and invite people to it, it's like, hey, here's our social one after. Be my guest. But like being like, hey, this place that's usually for organizing, getting dates set up, like important messages and notifications where I need people to be seeing links to calendars and stuff. Today, I saw a dog that reminded me, like, fucking, what the fuck are you doing? That is not what this is for at all. And then they're like, can you create a social channel? And in one case, they wanted me to create a social channel within the Discord. And I was like, no, also no. And it's like, why not? Because that's where, like, if the rule of being a YouTuber is this, if drama can happen, it will happen. And I'm not going to create the channel that's going to be the downfall of something I rely on.
Oh my gosh. Also, I realized I was muted that whole time, and I need you to know that what I said was party pooper. And I think that was it. But I think I also wanted to say, why are you against people having fun? Also, actually, what I also said was we all just really like each other. So
yeah. Oh, no. Look, we all have group chats from the hosts and stuff outside of it too. Like, we use, obviously you promise Arden and I use our like podcast group chat for whatever nonsense.
Oh, yap-a-doodling.
By the way, y'all created one without me for the episode last week, and you snitched on yourselves by posting from it on, and it hurt my feelings.
Oh, really?
And nobody has addressed that is so mean.
Wait, I also am curious. Oh, okay. Do you want to know something crazy? That this group chat has existed before that episode because
worse. Stings more, because it probably means it was a forgotten group chat that went and dug up so that I would be excluded.
So the way the origin of the group chat was Promise sent a really beautiful, sweet message to the two of us for Women's Day, and like it was so kind. And then Arden texted on Saturday or Sunday and said, I think we're doing this podcast tomorrow. Was that what's happening? And that's how it started. So
and then it just continued. And then excluded. You think I don't want a happy Women's Day? I came out of one.
You most certainly did, didn't you?
And then on March 14th, discussions began in the group chat regarding Yemen and the operations there, including weapon systems and strike timelines. On March 15th, which would have been 2 Saturdays ago, Hegseth shares detailed plans for an imminent strike on Yemen. Goldberg verifies the legitimacy through social media reports. On the 16th, Goldberg exits the chats and reaches out to Waltz and other officials for clarification, and the White House begins investigating how Goldberg was added to the group. And here's the wild thing about that is everybody had been this week denying all of this stuff, despite the fact that they knew all the way back on March 16th, 12 days ago. March 18th, this would have been that Sunday, internal reviews are conducted by the White House to determine how the breach occurred, and Democrats start to call for accountability and Senate hearings begin to be scheduled. March 24th, Atlantic publishes an article revealing the mishap and provides screenshots of the signal messages. The Trump administration denies that classified information was shared. On the 25th, investigations begin. They demand resignations of Hegseth and Waltz, and Trump defends the administration, calling it a minor glitch. It was perhaps a minor glitch. The Atlantic on the 26th releases the transcript of the signal chat only because they are insisting that it is not classified, and we would see within it information and messages that clearly should be classified because they were war plans. They were literally real time. We're doing this. It's about to happen. And then weird emojis about fisting America until it burns.
But the other part that I liked too was when they were like, great job, guys. Powerful moves, guys.
Right. It is so self-filleting.
Oh
I will
my
say there is a
God.
part in there where something is happening and JD Vance is like, I'm not sure that the president he kind of low-key shades Trump in there. That he understands the blah 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 blah. And then people are like, you should raise those concerns, but it's really, really funny. Anyway, now you have it is making them finally look bad because they went on air and just lied. No war plans, no classified things. No, why are you even trusting this Atlantic reporter? Who are you going to trust? This was by the press secretary, Pete Hegseth or Goldberg. What's his name? Evan Goldberg, is it? I don't think it's Evan. Jeffrey Goldberg. And then, all the information coming out is that Jeffrey Goldberg, basically everything happened the exact way that Jeffrey Goldberg said it happened, as they're there talking shit. So they're covering up. They claim there's no classified information shared, despite the fact that, yes, clearly that information would have been classified. Precise military strike plans, yeah, that goes in the classified bin.
Classified.
Donald Trump tried to blame technology, suggesting that maybe it was a defect from Signal itself. It just happened to go and grab a random reporter from the Atlantic, saying it might have been a technical issue, not a human error, despite the fact that at this point he would already be aware that Waltz was the problem. Calls it a minor glitch and a witch hunt, attempting to minimize the significant. You have Pete Hegseth denying sharing sensitive information, falsely claiming that nobody was texting war plans. They were exactly war plans. Though now their new thing is no, because we're not actually technically at war in Yemen. We're just doing military strikes in Yemen, but the Congress hasn't declared war with Yemen. So it's not technically a war plan.
That's the stupidest thing I've ever heard.
National Security Advisor Mike Waltz did finally admit, but then claimed ignorance about a bunch of the different stuff and blamed staff potentially for the errors, and was like, oh, no, I don't talk to the Atlantic reporter. I had his number for fun reasons. Somebody else. I remember Laura, what's her name? Laura Nazi on Fox News I don't remember what her last name is, trying to cover, because somebody else added him to your phone. Like, what the fuck are you guys? You're just making it up as you go.
Right.
And
also, to go to attacking the media credibility, Trump calling the Atlantic a failed magazine is insane.
Trying to use that as a way to discredit them, calling Jeffrey Goldberg a total sleazebag. Well, that total sleazebag told all the truth, and it is clear that you are lying.
Yeah. But also to call the Atlantic a failed magazine, the funny part of that to me is that much of his base will agree with that because they've never heard of the Atlantic.
Yep.
They'll be like, yeah, I've never even heard of that.
And Tulsi Gabbard and John Ratcliffe insisted in their hearings that no classified information was shared. They got grilled for it, clearly. And Tulsi wouldn't answer directly, but tried to imply that she wasn't even in the group chat. But now we know she was. We know she was in there. We know Susie Wiles, the chief of staff, was in there. Mark Rubio was in this group chat. Imagine how hard it must have been for Jeffrey Goldberg to decide to leave this.
Right?
Mike Waltz in there. JD Vance is in there. John Radcliffe is in there. Pete Hegseth is in there. And it's just, it makes you wonder how many other stupid group chats there are out there and what's in those ones.
Right? I would like to think about that actually now. What are some funny group chats that definitely existed?
Well, there's going to be a Signal group chat of the pedophiles out there, right? Like Matt, what's his name? Matt Gaetz will have started it. And I assume Matt Walsh would be there as like, oh, I'm not a pedophile, but I will once again make the point that I'm trying to remember. Matt Walsh forever ago was like, well, the right time for a girl to get married would be when she has her period, because those are like, that shows that she is at birth forming years.
My entire vulva clenched hearing you say that, because that's horrid.
Mine too. I agree. I was so grossed out by it. I developed a vulva and clenched it.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I clenched my dick so hard.
it turned
inside out and became a vulva. Yeah. Well, I'm going to be trying to get my vulva to descend later. It's wild. And at the end of the day,
Descend would be a really good band name. Please continue.
Descending Vulvas.
Descending
I think
Vulvas
would be the way you'd want it. Yeah. I just cannot believe they are willing to hit this. You would think at a certain point, Donald Trump would be so worried about the image that he at least would be like, okay, somebody's head's got to roll because it's not going to be mine. I'm not going to let this make me look bad. So who's going to resign and take all the blame? But no, he's still sticking by Hegseth. In a way that it's like, what does Hegseth have on you?
Yeah, but I think it's just like gaslight, because then there are going to be people who believe everything he says literally no matter what. And those are the people that will like storm the Capitol, like, and those are the people he wants to keep the most, I think. I don't think there's any world where Trump is trying to like flip the opinion of someone who is not on his side already. So like I think he knows that if he just continues and perpetuates the idea that like this is an uncredible person, an uncredible source, it's fake news, blah blah blah, like literally throw fake news on all of it and people will believe him. That he doesn't need to do anything more than that.
At this point, though, he's even got Fox
harder.
reporting that it looks bad. And so it's kind of like, I'm just surprised that he's not trying to pick somebody. And if anything, he's not going to send Hegseth out, even though Hegseth is the most incompetent person to ever serve in the role of defense secretary. But it would be Mike Waltz. I don't know. Anyway, but what about Hillary's emails?
Right.
Yeah, Alyssa, what about Hillary's emails? Because look, sure, he's live messaging to a group chat with a reporter. They aren't vetting, double checking, make sure everybody in this, signal chat is even the right people to be there. War plans that could put lives at risk. But Hillary, remember, would send her lunch order to her assistants from a server in her house. That's a problem, which, by the way, Ivanka literally did the exact same thing, had a private server, and she was doing government business back when she was in the White House. It's just funny. I mean, they have pretended, and as recently as last month, Tulsi Gabbard was talking about, if you were leaking this information or being careless with data, you will be fired immediately. And yet, a month later, put up or shut up, she shuts up.
Right. But like, these are people who have no integrity whatsoever. They do not care. And this story, this incident is going to disappear by the end of the week. And people are not going to care.
I wonder if that's true. And I'll tell you why. It is a big enough one that I feel like the thing we should be worried about is what are they doing under the cover of all of us talking about this?
Right.
They might be okay with this sticking around longer to keep doing. It's always they have that instinct. They do. And we know that that's because it's part of the Steve Bannon playbook. Right now, while we're all looking at this, they're definitely doing other shit. And I hope we're not missing it because this is wall to wall what everybody's talking about. So who knows? Who even knows what kind of shit's going on? We're going to take another little break. We'll come back. But the question that I'll leave with you as we take this little break is, what group chats do you know exist that you're being excluded from? Which group chats make you sad to know that you had a group chat with that exact group of people before and they moved the conversation to a group chat identical to that except for you were not in it? That you are the only thing not in the new group chat. Go ahead and put that in the comments. Love to hear it. I guess that's your question of the day on top of what should the question of the day be. What group chats are you in? When we get back, I'll read passive-aggressive comments about my other hosts left by people and affirm them.
Would you like to be one of the cool people who can prove they were supporting this podcast right from the beginning? Well, you can. Head over to linemerch.com. That's linemerch.com and pick up some founders merch for The Line as a podcast that will only be available for a short time and features the rough draft drawn logo that soon will be updated to look less like it was drawn by a 3-year-old. That's linemerch.com.
I feel like I hope Promise doesn't actually listen to this episode because I think she's going to feel genuinely bad for the shit I'm saying. She's going to feel genuinely
bad. And if she does listen to this episode, please don't because it's fine. And also, did you really want us to be blowing up that group chat with you in it?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
You want us
I'm
to?
so alone.
Oh.
So lonely.
Oh. Okay.
No, I don't care. I don't have notifications on in my phone in a significant way anyway. So like I'll get like banners or whatever. But I basically periodically I pull down the bar and I manually look and see what my notifications are. Unless I know, like I'll turn on stuff if I know I might be needed or whatever. So, but no, it doesn't bother me. I need to be in a group chat that I want to be in. Holy shit, have I been put in a number of group chats that I don't want to be in?
Yeah, that's rough. Always rough. I have a friend who's like really anti-group chat, vocally anti-group chat. She's like, I don't need to be in a conversation with more than one person at a time, literally ever. And you know what? I think she's onto something.
Yeah.
That mentality could have saved some people that I know a big amount of stress this week.
Yep. I think that we should make group chats potentially illegal.
But then how are we going to talk to each other?
By talking to each other. That's my point, Alyssa. When did we stop talking? I'm going to go on a soapbox. When did we all stop talking to each other? You know, it's like we have to live in the actual moment.
Oh, Jesus. Your hair makes that really, you can really sell that persona that you got.
Thank you. I would prefer group chats to always be an invitation style. I don't want to be added to, but if it's like you've been invited to a group chat, either confirm or pretend you never saw the invite. That's what I would prefer. If I get one notification, would you like to be? But what I hate is a group chat where I'm added and I'm automatically getting messages. I want to decide if I want to be there. Fuck you. Anyway. 4 U.S. soldiers have disappeared during a NATO training exercise near Belarus's border. As far as what happened, soldiers from the 1st Brigade have disappeared. It was during a tactical exercise. Their armored Hercules vehicle was found submerged in a peat bog over 16 feet deep. They, I believe in it, I'm trying to, actually, hang on. I don't remember I don't think they've been found, actually. NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte initially reported them dead, but later retracted. So they found the vehicle, but not them. These 4 soldiers have disappeared. Here's the reason why I'm bringing this up. Remember when 4 people died as a result of Benghazi? And the whole thing was like America, Obama, and Hillary didn't even care about those 4. Blah, 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 blah. Asked yesterday, about these 4 U.S. soldiers. Donald Trump admitted he didn't even know the thing had happened.
Yeah.
Right. We're not in active conflicts right now. We don't have soldiers on the ground dying. And yet 4 of them have disappeared. High risk that it was going to be at Russia's behest. And when questioned about it, said he had no idea what the fuck they were talking about it. Because let's be clear, this is a man who neglects his duties. He is not a good president. He is playing golf constantly. You are paying for it, taxpayers. If you're listening, you're paying for tons of golf outings for this guy, despite the fact that he is a billionaire. And you're paying for his added security. You're paying for all the shit that he could afford to pay for himself. And if he was the patriot he claimed he would be, he would voluntarily do it. He would take on those security costs himself. But he isn't the patriot he claims to be. And he just doesn't know. He doesn't know shit that's going on in general. And if this was happening under Biden, he would be tweeting about it in all caps about how this is a dereliction of his duty. And he would be pretending and he would be using those soldiers' families as a campaigning tool, essentially.
Do you think it would make any difference if there were Democrats who were making a lot of noise about this on social media? Because, like, the thing that's so challenging about Trump is he's gotten such an insane fan base that he says anything and he's put it out to this, like, audience that is rabid for his attention. So, like, even if Democrats, or even in the moments where they have made noise about things that Trump has done, it doesn't make a difference. It doesn't seem to make any difference.
Yeah, it's part of it's also, we don't have our own Trump. We don't have a guy who can match his energy. We don't have a guy who fights back, who doesn't give a shit, whatever. He doesn't, who's good at shit talking. Because right now the Democratic Party doesn't have a head. And we've also been learning doesn't have any balls. Like that's been they are headless and ballless. No balls, no head. That's sounds like a nightmare for me.
Yikes.
So no head. You remember that Vine?
No.
So no head. And then the guy jumps on a skateboard and he breaks. He's like on a cell phone.
Yeah.
And he just says, so no head. And he just like throws it down and it breaks it. And then he jumps on a skateboard and breaks it in half.
Oh, that's good.
It's like an old famous Vine.
I love it.
Anyway, this as our super incompetent commander-in-chief is also reiterating his interest in acquiring Greenland for strategic purposes. This as J.D. Vance's wife, Usha, had announced she was going to Greenland, and a bunch of people were like, why?
Literally, why? I thought I was missing something. I was like, oh, maybe some, I was like, is this... I thought I was like, I don't know everything about what's going on in politics and I'm learning as I go. I literally was like, oh, this must be something that people do that I'm just unaware of. No.
It was going to be some kind of diplomatic mission, apparently, and her schedule included and was mostly attending a dog sled race.
That is the kind of job that I want to have. How do I sign up for that?
Is it okay to even, I haven't looked up.
What,
I don't know.
Oh, if it's like ethical? I think
racing, I doubt it. Like I'm sitting here going, even if like I'm fine with horseback riding and dog sledding in Alaska and stuff where people have to use it as transport, if they're being good to the dogs, maybe that's okay. But recreationally, it means that you are trying to build a dog that's faster than the other dogs.
right.
And that kind of training shit always comes with like,
it's the training, you're right.
Greyhounds love to run, but dog racing in America is still, so it's not bad to let your greyhound out to run around your yard or whatever, let it run to its content.
To train it to do something like that.
Dog racing itself is a nightmare.
Good point.
Yeah. And so I don't know. It to me, I'm like, that's who created your itinerary? I'm on a diplomatic mission to get them more open to becoming a state because that's America or territory.
Why?
Trump says he wants to buy Greenland.
Why is this even a conversation? Why?
Space Force needs it. That's Trump's thing, is that the Space Force needs Greenland for some reason.
What the fuck?
I think he knows how he's seen a globe and he's like, okay, well, here we are on the side of the globe and Greenland is up here and that's higher than us. So it's closer to space than we are. And so we will be able, from here, we'd have to shoot all the way, but so much. I think he just saw a globe and it was tilted, it was turned. And so the top of the globe looked more close to Greenland and he thinks that makes it closer to space. And so we need it for Space Force. That's my best guess. And by the way, I'm the guy who guessed correctly why Donald Trump started bringing up Hannibal Lecter. Because I was talking about that shit. And then somebody who worked with him was like, he mistook asylum seekers for mental asylums and had seen Silence of the Lambs. And that's why he brings up Hannibal Lecter. Because
that's so embarrassing.
Because the word asylum, he didn't understand it at all. Anyway, now J.D. Vance is going to go with him as well. And go with her rather as well, despite the fact that Denmark has already unequivocally said, no, you are not going to buy Greenland from us. And let's be clear, Greenland doesn't want it either. No one really wants it.
Isn't there a clip of like a whole bunch of elected officials in Greenland just like hysterically laughing at this? I don't remember if it was real or not, but I'm pretty sure it is real. Like that they had, I don't know if they watched a clip of Trump saying that the US was going to purchase them or if it was like a read statement and it's like a room full of people, many of them women, and they're just keeled over laughing.
It's funny because Americans, especially Republicans, have this thought in their head that like, because a lot of people try to come to America, that must mean everybody wants to be American. But the people who are desperately trying to come to America are largely coming from countries that America did shitty things to destabilize. And so, yes, we are more prosperous than those countries. But like other democracies go, as far as other Western democracies go, people don't want to be American. Canadians are not sitting there going like, please, Daddy Trump, make this happen.
Especially now. It's mortifying to be an American in this state.
And at this point, Americans don't want to be American. And I don't know that we will be for much longer. I don't know what solution is coming for the future of how divided everything is and how diametrically different we are when there are people who want to operate on facts and there are people who want to operate on owning the libs or whatever you want to call it, their religious ideologies, all this stuff, and don't want to base things in science, but do want to still keep getting the fruits of science. Like, they will be devastated if there isn't still a new iPhone every year.
Right.
But that iPhone, all the components in it are less than 6,000 years old because that's when the earth was formed. I mean, these people are fucking dumb. Basically, dumb people. Okay, there are two Americas. There's two Americas, two thought leaders of America. And then there's a bunch of people who are kind of NPCs. But you've got the intelligent people who are a bit feckless and bad at messaging. And that's where a lot of the Democrat side is. That's where a lot of the leftist side is. A lot of that's over there. And then you have the dumb but very, very confident people. The Dunning-Krugers, if you will. The kind of people who like to bring up their IQ in arguments. And by the way, they're lying about that IQ. They can't spell IQ, but they're sitting there and they're bringing it up a lot. These are the people that we're dealing with. And these are the two Americas, the like leading thought diverging peoples of America. I'm not exactly sounding like I'm high IQ as I'm trying to describe this. I'm sounding more like high. But
I think you're expiring a little bit.
I'm getting to the end of my we're getting to the end of my usefulness, but that's where and I don't know what solution we get out of how bad things are getting with a regular 50 states United States of America still intact. It will not surprise me if we get closer and closer to some sort of separation. I don't know if it'll be more symbolic or not, but it's getting fucking crazy. And I'm in Texas. What the fuck? What was I thinking?
I don't know. Every day I wonder why you and Promise live in the states that you do.
Yeah.
I kind
Terror.
of know. Yeah.
Anxiety. Those are the states I live in.
Yeah.
Anyway, Donald Trump also called him the fertilization president while promoting IVF at a women's event this week. So I just wanted to leave that out. The fertilization president. He used to call himself the father of IVF, and he decided to make it creepier and call it the fertilization president.
Yeah.
Shall we go out on that note?
Yeah, I have nothing else to say except that's fucking gross.
Speak more about Donald Trump, the fertilization president.
Fertilization president. Coming from a person who looks like if he tried to ejaculate, it would literally come out like marshmallow fluff. There's no way. There's no way.
I feel that, oh wow, that gets loud. That gets loud. That got all up in my ears. The fertilization president, I kind of agree with him because when, as I mentioned at the beginning of the show, I see him, I think he probably smells like fertilizer.
Yeah. That's the only universe where that makes sense.
It's really funny that you would call yourself something. I get it because it's related to IVF, but why would you go for something that also literally means poop? Fertilizer is not just, it also means poop.